All right. Look, tax day not that far away. A lot of people get in ahead of time. I try to hold on to the very last second, but it's coming. A lot of things to consider. The economy, look, it's the number 2 issue right now, behind the border, but it is an issue. Nick Hopwood, certified financial planner, founder and president of Peak Wealth, peakwm.com to find out more and get that second opinion we so encourage. Nick, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Steve. Hey, I'd like to defer my time, go back to the Build Back Better montage. I kind of like that.
Yeah, why don't you say build back better, build back better, build back better. Yeah, it's the globalists, they're not all singing from the same hymnal, Nick. It's just an illusion, right? All right, so speaking of an illusion, let's talk about the jobs numbers. Because I see these people on MSNBC, oh, look, the jobs numbers blew everything away, the economy. These numbers are manipulated, crafted, run through a meat grinder, and then set up the way they want them. Look, the unemployment in America is about 10% if you use the U6 numbers, which until Bill Clinton was president is how we measured unemployment in America. But they keep manipulating the numbers to manipulate what you think or what the American people think, don't they? They play games.
Yeah, the jobs number was robust at the headline, 353,000 new jobs. Over the last year, 2.9 million new jobs. But one thing that people are not understanding is that there's a lot of these jobs that are new, which are part-time. In addition, the number of hours per week reported has been declining. So a year ago, the average number of hours per week was 34.6, and right now it's 34.1 hours per week. And you might think, well, it's a half hour, big deal. But we're talking about hundreds of millions of jobs. And so when you equivalate this, having less hours per week is like being down 1.9 million jobs, which is taken away from the 2.9 million that we gained for a net of just 1.
So there it is, playing games. So the number of hours worked continues to erode, to drop, while they claim that we're doing better, and we know better than that. People can look around. Look, I have to say this to you before we move on. Congratulations. 25 years of doing this and 10 years running Peak Wealth Management. Missed that off the top. So glad that you're doing this. Great time to have people come see you. Now you have all this experience for that second opinion. Look, folks, we always want you to have a second opinion. That's what Nick has recommended, and I agree with that. So here's my next question. Are you a do-it-yourself investor, ready for some help? Working with an advisor, you never hear from them? It's second opinion time. That's why Nick is here to say, hey, let's just take a look at what you're doing, right? I mean, that's important, whether it's Nick or somebody else. Find out what 2 or 3 different people think. That's what Ivy and I have done over the last few years. It's a helpful thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah, especially for the do-it-yourself investors. Sometimes people like investing. It's fun. They get, they find it rewarding. But I ask them, how would you grade your results, right? And a lot of times people they're not grading the results. And so I would just ask them to do that and see what the performance looks like and ask themselves if they're missing any opportunities by not having a sounding board or a coach in their corner.
So you got to have a coach like anything else if you want to be successful. I saw something else you wrote down here, and I'm sorry I missed this. And that's the illusion again, as I return to this theme of illusion. Because I keep seeing this market at 38,000. It's really incredible. I'm like, wow. But you say here there's some great stocks, the Magnificent Seven, and everybody else not doing as well. Because I hear people all the time, Nick, you do as well, saying, look, it's time for a correction. 10%, 20%. We got a really painful correction sometime soon. In China, they're having a lot of trouble with real estate that is not, liquid at this point. What is this stock market situation? What's true?
Well, I'm not sitting here predicting an imminent correction, but on average, on average, we have nearly 1 correction per year, which is defined by 10% drop. But in January, the headline Dow, S&P, NASDAQ were all up. You'd think everything's great. However, when you look at the equal weight index, look at the small cap index, mid caps, everything was down. It was led by the Magnificent Seven, keeping the Dow, S&P, NASDAQ up. And one other thing is when you have the Dow up, you want to look and see, are the transports confirming the up move? And that's called Dow theory. And the transports are absolutely not up. UPS, for instance, is 36% off the high. So they're not confirming these all-time highs, which gives some pause.
Yeah, if the economy were robust, you would think that people that deliver products to your doorstep, UPS being number one, would be on the upswing. But I saw last week they laid off 12,000 people. Now that represents about 3% of their workforce, but still, they laid off 12,000 people. They're off 35% from their highs. These are warning signs to an amateur like me, and I'm an amateur, but enough to say, hey, wait a second, that's a flashing red light to me. Is it not?
It is. And, GDP for the fourth quarter came in at 3%. The first read for the fourth quarter is looking strong at 4%, according to the Fed. But there are just so many mixed signals, like we talked about with UPS. It's hard to read the tea leaves right now.
I heard somebody say yesterday that our national debt's going to be $100 trillion in a few years. $100 trillion in a few years. We've gone from $5 trillion of debt when Barack Obama walked into the room to $35 trillion in debt now. I mean, that's a burden, that's a drag, that's an anchor on the economy that's not getting any better, right or wrong?
Absolutely right. It's a huge problem. I think about it every day. It's a big concern, and we have this border bill that's coming through, and it's another $100 billion. And what does that do for us?
Puts us deeper in debt, near as I can figure. PeakWM.com, by the way. PeakWM.com to find out what you can learn from Nick. Go ahead and check it out. Should be, there it is, right on your screen for those of you watching. You got a QR code right there. If you click on that, it'll take you right to PeakWM.com. You can get that second opinion that is so important right now. Yeah, the market looks great for 7 stocks. The rest, not so good. Next time you're here, we're going to talk about Social Security optimization, Nick. We didn't get to it today, but I do want to do that with you next time you're here. Nick Hopwood, as always, thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Greatly appreciate it. All right, PeakWM.com. Check it out. Get that second opinion. Don't go it alone, folks. Get a coach in the game when it comes to your money, all right? I'll be back.